to go through, explore everything, and then at the end of it all to rebalance everything. And that's why we're in this galaxy and we're on this planet, because this is the very end of that process for many of us. And that's what the Mayan calendar is actually saying. It's the cycle we're closing is on a universal scale. And the consciousness, that universal consciousness that's connected to the closing of that cycle, not just galactic, not just cosmic, but universal, is our consciousness. We're the ones who are completing that journey through this universe and closing and achieving everything, because all those cycles close at the same time, and that's what we've achieved.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
Thanks, George. We might just have a quick 1-minute break, if you don't mind, and then we'll take it up after that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Back in a moment.
We are speaking with George Kavassilas. Please visit his website at georgekavassilas.org and our-journey-home.com. George, continuing on, we have a peculiar area in Cliff's work of the WebBots about a data gap, where originally in 2001 he saw a data gap appearing in March 2012, but as of the recent run he saw that still appearing in March 2012, but actually stopping, has a hard stop in May 2013, where he no longer gets any psychic links of the future. Does that corroborate with anything in your data or work or research?
Well, that's just truly amazing to hear that here we have now artificial intelligence that is also totally synchronizing with the precessional cycle in the way that I've been sharing it. And for me, the precessional cycle ends on the 21st of March 2013. We're in the precession of the equinoxes. The cycle does not finish on the solstice. A lot of people would beg to differ with that. And it really has to do with the fact that if you finish the cycle on a solstice, you finish on a time that's out of balance. The solstice is maximum daylight, minimum darkness, or maximum darkness, minimum daylight. The scales are way out of balance. The balance points are the equinoxes. And so we're here to achieve balance. We're here to leave in a balanced state. So the cycle actually finishes on an equinox where the scales are perfectly balanced. Equal amount of darkness, equal amount of light, equal amount of positive charge, equal amount of negative charge, perfect harmony and balance between masculine and feminine, and all dualistic charges. So that's a very, very important point. And I'm just really pleased to hear that. And you know what else is fascinating? The Montauk projects, I mean, they went forward in the timeshare experiments. They went forward multiple times. And each time they went forward, they went forward via a different route, their projections forward in time. But every time they got to the 21st of March 2013, everything just went pure light, and this reality ceased to exist on this level. And I find that absolutely fascinating because, that's why we've got 1 million people on Mars already. They've known this for a long time, and they've got their Project Genesis happening, and they're getting ready to recolonize Mars. A large group of people, not the majority of the population of Earth, but those people who feel that is the right path for them to go and live in that level of life and technology. So, yeah, there's the ETs that were running these timeshare experiments have facilitated a lot of people to go to Mars. So they're aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Not everybody in the ruling elite and the shadow government and even off-world empires are fully aware of what's happening. But there are those who do know. So I'm really pleased to hear that WebBot is seeing things in a very, very similar way to what we've been sharing.
If anything, the WebBots, I guess, help with other people's research in terms of getting timelines, etc. I'll pass it over to Jemdi.
Hi, George. This is Jemdi again.
Hi, Jemdi.
Carl Kalaman talked about the Mayan calendar ending on October 28th of this year, of 2011. And are you familiar with Carl Kalaman?
I've heard of him. I've seen him in bits and pieces, like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I recently saw him on a conference to do with Elenan, and yeah, I like what he has to say. I really resonate with what he has to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that it was very important for people to awaken spiritually before that date. and because he feels that the Mayan calendar, is ending on that date. So do you feel he is right about the ending of the Mayan calendar on that date and his sense of urgency for people to awaken before then?
Well, from the way he sees the Mayan calendar, the way he understands it, and to a degree he's right, and to a degree I would say there's parts of what he says I don't agree with, simply because my understanding is that, the bits and pieces of the Mayan calendar that we've had, it's like this. In the ancient times, we didn't write in paper, we wrote in stone. And I was one of the beings who were involved in creating the Mayan calendar, as I know that's a big call, but I was. And, fragments, it's like the calendars that we had created back then. The main one was created in Palenque, by the way. And then you had all these different areas all around the place that had their main calendar. It's like today you've got the Bible, right? Just how many versions of the Bible is there going around? And there's a lot of differences between them, okay? So it's like that, lost in translation, or, people put their own spin on things. And so there's different versions of the main calendar getting around. And I know that the harmonics were out by a little bit by some of the elders who created their main calendars. They didn't quite, there was some differences of opinion. So, after 5,500 years to be out by just 3 months, that's not too bad for some of them.
Yeah.
But the real harmonics, the real harmonics of our life here, and the connection of the precessional cycle to our DNA. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an academic. I'm not a professor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just an everyday guy who's trying to bring through ancient memories. And these are the harmonic equations that I share on my website. And that's why I urge people to take a look at them. And someone who knows about harmonics better than I do, who understands maths, who understands the construct and the harmonics of our DNA, please take a look at those numbers. I really ask people to do that. And there's people that have looked at them. I've tried offering to people who do study harmonics, and they said, this is beyond me. I got one back from a guy recently who said, I think these equations are beyond even my capacity. So I'm just hoping there's going to be someone there that really does take a grasp of them and runs with them, because, to connect our DNA with the harmonics of the precessional cycle and a whole lot of other things is pretty good stuff. So, there's a lot going on there.
All right. Thank you, George. And I have another question. You were targeted on your journey through the 12 realms by manipulative entities. How is this manifesting itself in your current everyday life, and how are people who have reached a higher level of consciousness being affected by these manipulative entities?
Well, yeah, as I was going through the different levels of the universe, I was in a state where I was unreachable. So I just understand where beings reside. Like when you got the demigods, who are the deities of our religious dogmatic religious organizations, they reside at the top of the fourth dimension. It's common knowledge to anybody who's connected to the universal consciousness what's going on with these beings. It's just common knowledge. So it's nothing revelatory as far as that's concerned. It's just understanding these beings are here to feed off humanity, and they create dogmatic religions, not just on this planet, but in other systems all over the place. So it's a common theme and it's a common understanding. Now these entities, okay, so I was in that incredible state of all knowing and being, and so I needed to come back to this reality. What happened was when I returned, my energetic appearance here changed, because all of a sudden I had a much grander energetic charge than before. So it's like I was a beacon sticking out in the darkness, So I got their attention, and they really went to town on me, and they've been attacking me ferociously, especially the last 7 years. But now it's starting to ease off a bit, because my inner light now is really starting to come forth, and it's kind of like a pile of hot coals. If you have a little pile of hot coals, you can get quite close. You can put your hands fairly close to it. But if you have a big pile of hot coals and it's putting out a lot of heat, you can't even come within 20 feet of that thing before you start to burn. So it's kind of like that. The more you shine your inner light, the more you sing your song, the more you just be, the more you emanate your true, authentic resonance and authentic self, they have problems coming near you. And so you weed out all the lower vibratory entities, and you really ended up just having interactions with the very highly sophisticated ones who are into manipulation. So that's what's going on with me at the moment. And yeah, it's been a very interesting journey. And so
people that have a higher level of consciousness, their light would be bright for the same entities, and they would be also being attacked, just in their everyday lives. They could be being attacked also, correct?
Oh, there's many that are experiencing that. Oh, absolutely. I talk to people all the time with that sort of thing going on in their lives. I get emails from people all over the world regularly. Please help me. They're saying,
yeah.
And it really, constantly. And the trick with all this is to really understand why people are being attacked. And it's all about looking at how the darkness serves us, why we're being attacked. So really, we contracted them to come and do this to us from a higher level so we can be challenged. And so I urge everybody to start digging deep, dig into themselves, bring their light out, and start empowering themselves, because the more you ask another entity to do it for you, the more you give your power away. And in a way, the ones of the false light get dark entities, they work for them, and they try to scare you enough to the point where you're going to beg for help, and you become vulnerable, and then they'll send their entities from the false light to come and save you and shoo away the bad guys, and then they've got you. So it's a clever plan. It works really quite well, and there's a lot of people that are falling for that. I mean, look at the New Age movement; it's full of that stuff. So it's a massive con, and people are just falling for it left, right, and centre. But the whole point of it is empower yourselves. This is about becoming a sovereign being, reclaiming our sovereignty, being true to your heart, standing in your own power. And this is a big subject. We could talk quite some time on this, but that's
I know.
That's the summary. That's the summary of it. And
well, I just have a few other little questions to go along with that. Would it help to send unconditional love to these entities when you feel you're being attacked, or not?
Well, unconditional love is neither negative or positive. Okay. And yes, it does. It does have an effect. It's kind of like I was being abducted and having some really horrible experiences, like really bad. Some really, really difficult challenges. And I remember being on the bench one time and I was actually being raped by a hybrid, and there was a whole lot of other ET racists standing around watching, and it's an awful thing to have to experience, and you end up going places within yourself where you just never knew existed, and you explore all these because. Yeah, and also I've also been tortured really badly. So when you are suffering so much extreme pain, you also just explore areas, because if you keep feeling that pain, you will die from just from the intensity of the pain. Your body won't cope. So what happens is you automatically you go into this sort of numbed state, and you become detached from yourself in this way.
Disassociate.